Great, so creating a kind of a sidechain effect. We've got in here a little chord pattern. Let's get some drums to make it sound more interesting. So loops, I'm going to use the disco funk pack, and I've just selected beats. Glitter Nights is quite nice. Let's have that, so pick it up, drag and drop. And then when it's selected, if you just press L on the keyboard, it loops it up for the entirety of the song. Check it. So let's make that chord pump with the beat. So we need something to control it. I'm going to create a new track. This is going to be ultra beat. Stereo, create. And then in ultra beat, if I just open up the interface, I don't think we spent much time looking at this yet, but it's a great drum synth. It mimics kind of an analog drum machine sound. The default sounds are quite nice already. The other nice thing it has is this little step sequencer along the bottom here. You have to turn it on with the on button there. Step sequences are quite nice to work with. They're exactly like you would have on an old drum machine. You select the sound, and then it has a little pattern that plays back, and you can just turn things on and off, and it will play those sounds. I should give you an example. I'm going to reset this to an empty sequence. Choose one of these. Number 10 is empty at the moment. When I press play, notice it suddenly starts playing as well. It's synchronized with Logic. So I can click every 4 and have a listen. Turn off the click. So I get that kind of 4 on the floor kick drum. Good, that's all I want from this. Let's call this let's just have it as kick. Another nice thing about the little pattern generator in here, once you've generated the pattern, if you want, because notice it doesn't actually appear here, the pattern just plays back like a real drum machine would. It just starts playing whenever you hit play. But you can drag this pattern using the little thing there, pick it up, drag and drop, and it creates a part. Then we can turn off the sequencer, and we've just got that as a MIDI part.
How do you do that again, sorry?
Scroll down, pattern, there's the little thing there, and you just drag and drop onto the page. Let's hit L to loop that up as well. Good, so I've got that beat there. Let's add those other things in. So I want those chords to kind of pump. I'm going to go to the chords track, and on that track I'm going to insert a compressor, just like we were using yesterday. So Dynamics compressor, Logic's compressor is fine. Doesn't really matter which one you choose. Let's get it working first and we can see what's going to happen. The only thing I'm going to do is turn off auto gain. the key thing that we want to do for sidechaining is in the top right corner, you see there's a little sidechain window there. And it's a drop down. And it's saying, where do we want to take a sidechain from? So we want to link it to the kick drum. So there's kick. I've already named it. These are just a track list of all the tracks that you've got in your project. So kick. And let's just see what happens now. Notice that whenever the kick happens, the compressor is turning down a little bit. Let's turn up the ratio a bit more to make it more of an effect. And let's bring the threshold down. Can you hear it starts to pump now? And suddenly those chords become rhythmic. Because before they're a bit boring. If I turn the compressor off, it's like, hasn't got any kind of groove to it. So turn the compressor on, and suddenly it bounces. And that's one of the tricks that is used in almost every single dance music track. So it's called sidechaining, and it uses compressors to duck the level of things. So the whole kind of music bounces in time with the music. You can choose how much you want, really. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can make it really intense, and then it becomes almost, gives me a bit of seasickness. Listen to some super sidechain things, but it's, you know, it's totally up to you. To make it more, just turn up the ratio a bit more and bring down the threshold. And less, of course, just a bit less ratio. You'll notice when you get to a point where the kick isn't going over the threshold anymore, going back to our compression techniques, in which case it won't bounce. So you just have to tune it to whatever kind of kick sound you've got. Keep turning it down, you'll see the needle start twitching, and then you can just and of course there's nothing stopping you automating that as well if you wanted. And you hear that often in tracks as well, it gets more and more intense in different places. So we're using Logic's compressor on a pad sound, static pad sound, but we're using the sidechain input, which is in the top corner, and we were reading from the kick drum. We'd created a kick drum track that just had a simple 4 on the floor kick, quarter note kick drum. And we use that to trigger the compressor. And all the compressor does is just turns down the sound. So that's what gives us that sort of pumping effect. It's used in rock production as well, as a way of getting guitars really up front, but still allowing the drums to punch through the mix. Rock and metal producers will put a compressor over the whole guitar bus and sidechain and the kick and the snare, so whenever the drum hits, it just ducks the sound of the guitars momentarily, just so that they kind of punch through. And it's a way to get really upfront sounding guitars. It's a really powerful technique, so worth a go. I'll save this stick it on Classroom, and then you can go over it in your own time and try it out.